Hey guys, I want to show you a cool project I'm working on, which is a developer API for prediction markets. Um, so right now, there's only two or three prediction markets, but since they've become regulated, I think that's going to go up. And what would be very cool is similar to how there's stock market APIs that developers can use instead of having to interface directly with, let's say, NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. What if there is something like this, where it's a developer API, but specifically for prediction markets, which have just become federally legal, and I think there's going to be a lot more. So what I've done here is I've started listening for trades on these exchanges. That way, using a WebSocket, so that way I can stay within rate limits, and I'm not just wrapping their API. I'm actually doing something a little different. So this is that. This is just listening for all the trades happening on like Polymarket and Kalshi. And I'm creating basically like my own version of an order book using that data. And what it's doing is it's taking the schemas for the orders on Kalshi and Polymarket, and then it's converting it to a standardized format, like as you see, like ticker, shares, and then the side, like the buy sell side. I'm standardizing all of that for the trades. So now there's a cool way I can see what's happening on both exchanges in a standardized way, and that's how I can make this nice little bar up here pretty easily now that I've done that. Other things I'm doing is step one is like get the events and markets from each exchange into my database and make sure they're updated. So that's what I'm doing here is I'm writing code and like infrastructure to mimic and copy databases from Kalshi and Polymarket into my own. One, so I can offer that to people who want to just use one API instead of both of these. But that's like a pretty thin wrapper on top of Polymarket and Kalshi. So the next step to add some value there would be to have unified events and unified markets. So let's say there's two similar events on all the exchanges, like it's could be NBA game, NFL game, a soccer game, whatever it is. In my database, I'll have something like unified event. Could be something like who will win the National Book Award for fiction in my database, and then in that you'll be able to see you'll be able to see a unified view from all of the exchanges, and that way you don't have to look for the same event across all the exchanges, because they'll already done for you, and then you can see all of the data, like the yes and no prices for it in one view. So I think that'll be a huge value add on top of just having an easier way to interface with the APIs, because they do have very good developer APIs for each for at least Kalshi and Polymarket. So I think that would be very cool to have on top of that would be the unified view. And then later down the line, you add in stuff for like sports betting and stuff like that. So there's like one developer API for all things like probabilities and predictions in that kind of world. Similar to like massive.com, which is doing this for just like regular securities like on Wall Street. My goal would be to have something like that, but for like this new era of prediction markets. Because I do think right now there's like Kalshi, Polymarket, and like Manifold. I do think now that's legal, there's going to be tons more. Like everyone's going to want to try to start a startup in prediction markets, and I think there's a good shovel to sell here, which is with an API to interface with all of those markets. And so far it's going pretty good. Like I said, I'm monitoring the trades using just WebSockets and an EC2 instance. So this is me listening to all the WebSockets for Polymarket and Kalshi, because those are pretty simple. Up next is like Manifold, but this one works like a little bit different. But yeah, Kalshi and Polymarket is very easy to do. And I'm just listening and then converting each of their trade types into a standardized table called trade. And then using that, I can very easily create views like this, like very simply. The other thing I'm doing is, like I said, creating a copy of each of their events and markets, so that way down the line I can do cool stuff like unifying them into one type, one schema. Yeah, so this is the trades. This is the live trades, and then this is the specific endpoints for each of their events and the markets in those. And yeah, so this is a cool screen I made here. This is live updating all of the trades that are coming in from each of these exchanges. Some things you can, why this would be useful is, one, it's a unified data plane with real-time data, it's gonna be way simpler to hook into this than hooking into each of the exchange's APIs individually and doing it yourself, because I'm already doing that for you. The second thing is streaming and alerts. So I'll have my own WebSocket, and I think there'll be a way to like arbitrage, let's say, between different exchanges. If you're listening to all the exchanges at once through a webhook or a WebSocket, it'll be very easy to find opportunities and stuff like that. And there's lots of things you can do with a webhook, listening to all the exchanges. Last thing is historical data. So that's kind of a pain to do, like with their rate limits and stuff. So if I have my own copy of the data and like my own copy of all the trades and stuff in my own database, performing like historical analysis and like analytics on it, like liquidity, implied probabilities, and past markets, if doing that's way easier if I have my own copy of the data, since I can purpose build stuff for it. And that's not their focus, like Polymarket and Kalshi. That's not their focus. So I think storing the data on my own database can allow for some really cool stuff to happen. So if you want to sign up when there's like a V1 or beta, come to my website and submit the wait list. Just put in your email and then your use case. And the use case can be anything. But once there's like a good V1, it'll probably be free to use because I think it's cool. Yeah, so Doc's coming soon once I have it stable. I do have some endpoints up, like for this, and for like the demo page, but they're really kind of janky. So yeah, come to my website and let me know what you think about my idea in the comments. Thank you.